let's not call it the last ever, we don't know. It is the end of the current tour. It's the end, actually, of sort of 7 years of fairly constant touring. Here come the plug figures.
James May is a famous British journalist, presenter, writer, and author. This man is best known for being the host of the TV series called Top Gear, which he hosted alongside Richard Hammond and Jeremy Clarkson. He's also presented several other television series about wine, technology, science, and toys. He's also been the director of the production company called W. Chomp & Sons and co-presented the Grand Tour for Amazon Video. From 2003 to 2011, this famous journalist wrote a weekly column for the motoring section of the Daily Telegraph. This man has been seen on TV shows including James May's Toy Series, James May at the Edge of Space, James May on the Moon, Oz and James Drink to Britain, and James May's Big Ideas.
We've been to 32 countries, and we think we've played to 2.2 million people all the way around the world, all the way around to Australia and back. So that ends on Sunday night at the O2. But
if you enjoy these videos, please remember to hit the like button, as it does help us out a lot. And comment below who your favorite celebrity is that you'd love to see in an upcoming video. His full name is James Daniel May, but he's also known as Captain Lost, Captain Slow. He was born January 16, 1963 in Bristol, England, making him 57 at the time of this production. He stands 1.82 meters or 5 feet 11 inches tall. The star sign of James is Capricorn. Although James was given the name Captain Slow for his careful driving style, he set high-speed car records. For instance, he set the Bugatti Veyron speed record, which James held for 20 minutes before a professional racing driver surpassed him. Back in the year 2007, James, along with Jeremy Clarkson, traveled by car to the North Pole. Let me tell you that they had used a modified Toyota Hilux. Jeremy has said that he was the first individual to go there who didn't want to be there. Back in the year 2010, he received an honorary doctorate from Lancaster University, and James had previously studied music at this university. It's worth mentioning that James holds a Doctor of Letters degree, and in 2014, this journalist was among the 200 public figures who were signatories to a letter to The Guardian. In the letter, signatories described their hope that Scotland would vote against independence from the UK. James supported Remain in the European referendum back in June 2016. It's worth mentioning that James passed his driving test on his second attempt. The journalist said that all the best persons passed the second time. Back in 2006, James obtained a light aircraft pilot's license. It's worth mentioning that James was trained at White Waltham Airfield. In an interview, James was asked about the fastest speed he'd ever driven a car. Let me tell you that the journalist confirmed he'd reached a speed of 259.2 miles per hour while driving a Bugatti Veyron. Although James can play the piano proficiently, he rarely plays it in public. James also has a YouTube channel, which he created in 2015. The channel mainly features cooking videos filmed in James' kitchen. In July 2020, this channel had more than 200,000 subscribers. It's worth mentioning that the most recent video was published on this channel back in 2018. In 2019, James started creating videos on Food Tribe, which is a Drive Tribe spin-off brand. This man has been dating an art critic named Sarah Frater since the year 2000. The couple lived together in James' house.
that's not the end of the whole thing. It's the end of the beginning, as Churchill would have said. It will start roughly in the autumn of next year, but we haven't got an exact date yet.
His father was a manager at an aluminum factory, and James is one of 4 children of his parents. This journalist has 2 sisters and a brother. James went to Caerleon Endowed Junior School and spent his teenage years in South Yorkshire. James attended Oakwood Comprehensive School, and he was also a choir boy at Wiston Parish Church. During his childhood, James loved toys such as Meccano, Airfix model aircraft kits, and Hornby Railways. It's worth mentioning that he's still a huge fan of old toys that were popular in his childhood. Later, he enrolled at Pendle College, Lancaster University, and studied music there. James learned to play piano and flute, and after graduation, this man started working at a hospital as a record officer. He left this job after a few months and also had a short stint in the civil service before James became a journalist. James started working as a sub-editor for The Engineer and went on to work as a sub-editor for Autocar magazine. However, James was dismissed for performing a prank and has since written for many other publications. James has written for the Car magazine, a weekly column in the Daily Telegraph, and several articles for Top Gear. In 2006, his book titled May on Motors was published, and James also co-authored the book called Oz and James' Big Wine Adventure. In September of that year, James wrote the afterword to A Long Lane with Turnings. In 1998, James presented Driven On Channel, and in 2006, he co-hosted the ITV1 coverage of the London Boat Show. Moreover, James has written and presented a Christmas special known as James May's Top Toys. In the third episode of the third series of Gordon Ramsay's The F Word, James beat Gordon in eating rotten shark and bull penis. In 1999, he co-presented the original Top Gear series. James appeared on this TV show until 2015, when BBC decided not to renew Jeremy's contract with the series. In April 2015, James said that he would not continue to present the show. James has also presented a documentary for Sky called Inside Killer Sharks. In 2008, the series titled James May's Big Ideas was broadcast on BBC. Later, James presented the series titled James May's Man Lab. Then in 2013, this man narrated a documentary titled To Space and Back. In 2009, a documentary titled James May on the Moon was released, and it was followed by the documentary titled James May at the Edge of Space. In 2012, he created Head Squeeze, which was later renamed BBC Earth Lab. Let me tell you that Head Squeeze no longer features him as a presenter. This channel is a mix of current affairs, history, technology, and science. Then in 2016, James, along with former Top Gear presenters Jeremy and Richard, created a social network for motoring fans. This social network is called Drive Tribe. Last year, James hosted a series of travel documentaries called James May, Our Man in Japan. Let me tell you that this series consisted of 6 episodes and was released on Amazon Prime Video.
Brainstorming sessions on names, and it's actually very difficult to come up with a new name for something that hasn't already been bagged by someone else, unless you call your new show Shubly Doobly Woobly or something like that.
I think that's...
James has accumulated his net worth by appearing in several shows and writing various books. Moreover, James also makes money from brand endorsement deals. James also co-owns a pub in Swallow Cliff, Wiltshire. Let me tell you that James bought half the ownership of the Royal Oak Pub in 2020. The total net worth of James May is $25 million. Currently, James lives in his house in Hammersmith in West London. James May owns and has owned the following cars: a 1978 Vauxhall Cavalier Mk1, a 2005 Porsche Boxster S, a 2018 Alpine A110, an Alfa Romeo 164, a Mini 1275 GT Special, a Ferrari F430, a Ferrari 458 Speciale, a Fiat Panda, a BMW i3, a 1984 Porsche 911, a Rolls-Royce Phantom, a Saab 9.5 Aero, a Tesla Model S100D, a Rolls-Royce Corniche, a 1971 Triumph 2000, a 1985 Porsche Carrera 3.2, a Bentley T2, a Datsun 120Y, a 1992 Range Rover Classic Vogue. James has previously owned an American Champion 8K Cab Super Decathlon, Moreover, he's also owned a Cessna A185E Skywagon as well as a Luscombe 8A Silvair.